I thought it would be a good time to make a video about geoengineering, mostly because a lot of people have never really heard of it, and then those who have heard of it don't really know what it is. Geoengineering is it is a relatively new science. It's basically been developed though for the past, 50, 60 years or so. And it is a science that basically helps to prevent global warming. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, geoengineering is the large-scale manipulation of specific processes central to controlling Earth's climate for the purpose of obtaining a specific benefit. Global climate is the amount of solar radiation received by Earth, and the reflectance of solar radiation is controlled by several mechanisms, including Earth's surface albedo and cloud coverage. Here is a simple and easy to understand infographic on exactly how it works. And I'm going to go through all of this. So basically, there was a volcano eruption in like 1991 called Mount Pinatubo. And what it did was it caused the Earth to cool over a period of 2 years by a half of a degree centigrade, if I'm remembering that correctly, but pretty much along those lines. And basically it ejected a massive amount of sulfur aerosols into the stratosphere. And those aerosols were suspended 70,000 feet up in the atmosphere for several years. And that had a cooling effect. So geoengineering essentially is attempting to do this artificially, and here is all of the solutions which are actively being studied. For example, sulfur balloons, doping jet fuel with different types of additives to create sulfur particles, among other things. These particles will stay suspended in the atmosphere for an incredibly long time, up to 2 years, and then this is where it gets completely ridiculous. Some of these suggestions, like wrapping glaciers in highly reflective material. I made a joke about this, wrapping mountaintops in tinfoil. Then you have cloud whitening, you have orbital mirrors in the atmosphere to reflect sunlight. I mean, I'm sure that this is probably already happening and we have no idea about it. I'll explain more along those lines later. This is called cloud whitening. These are misting vessels, but in all reality, ships are now doing exactly this. And again, they're using additives and fuel to basically create clouds over the ocean, commonly known as ship tracks. You have cloud whitening operations that are going on to make clouds more reflective. Then this is possibly one of the worst. Ocean iron fertilization. According to this description, it spurs algae growth because essentially you're feeding algae and then it's causing algae to grow, consume more CO2, and then sinking into the ocean. What could possibly go wrong? Then over here you have CO2 sequestration. That's what this is all about. This is the most ridiculous thing that I think I've ever seen. Genetic engineering of reflective crops. This biochar production, well, let me tell you what that is. That's pretty much burnt carbon. It's just a fancy word for burnt carbon. So just think of all of the forests that are currently being burnt to the ground right now in the deforestation program known as prescribed burning. That's going on. And then here you have these scrubbing towers, again to remove CO2. I remember watching a video from NASA probably back in, I want to say maybe like 2015 or 2016. And this is when they really started to introduce all of this to the public in a very big way about global warming and climate change. But what I want to say is that from my study, what I'm seeing is that the real culprit in global warming right now is the radiative forcing that is happening as a result of the clouds that are being created by airplanes. It's called inadvertent weather modification, aviation pollution, or contrail cirrus clouds, otherwise known as artificial cirrus clouds. So anyway, this is absolutely insane. None of this should be happening. The only sensible thing in here that is realistic is tree planting and forest expansion. That's the only thing that makes sense in this whole entire diagram, and the rest of it is all just completely insane, absolutely insane. And this is all what I refer to as a pseudoscience. It's not a legitimate science. None of it is legit. It's all bullshit, and it's known as geoengineering. And then to sum it all up, this is one of the companies that is involved in these operations, and this is an application to the United States Department of Commerce. Take a look at this. This company is known as Make Sunsets Incorporated. What I like about this application is that we actually get the name and the phone number here of the founder, Luke Eisman. We know exactly where they're located in South Dakota. We can see that they are deploying sulfur dioxide, calcium carbonate, and other proprietary compounds into the stratosphere to offset global warming. And then this contract is valid for approximately 200 years. So this should make everyone filled with rage. This is the United States Department of Commerce. And I know that there are a lot of people right now that are bringing attention to this. Dr. Jane Ruby. Also, I know Alex Jones just did a segment on this tonight. But what I really like about this is the phone number right here on the bottom and the address as well, 514 America's Way. If anybody is in the area and of South Dakota and just wants to reach out to Luke Eisman and possibly, offer to take him out for a cup of coffee, thank him for his incredible service of contaminating our stratosphere by pumping these toxic chemicals into our stratosphere, that would be awesome.
Okay, first launch. D4 tracker.
And last but not least, we should also thank the United States Department of Commerce for approving this application, along with NOAA, our good friends at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So anyway, I found this off of the website ClimateViewer, and I'll link to this in the comments, but anyway, I want to get this video posted, and adios.